Hey everybody, welcome back to The Silver Lining. I'm your host, Miss South Florida Fair 2020, Juliette Valle, and today I am so excited because I have Miss Ohio 2019, Caroline Grace Williams.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much for being here. Actually, Caroline took some time to talk to me before, and we found out that we have a lot more similarities than I had anticipated. I am currently a musical theater major at the University of Miami, and she studied musical theater at Miami University. She also knows the former head of the theater department, Bruce, who auditioned me and left the year as a
Yes.
freshman, but she knew him. She also competed in the Schmidt competition, which I also competed in
No,
for
I
opera.
didn't compete. The Schmidts are associated with Miami, so I know of them.
Yes. She knew exactly what I was talking about because I told her
Yes.
about this opera competition that was that gave you a scholarship to Miami University. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this Schmidt!" And then I was like,
Yes.
"Yes!" But she's awesome, and thank you so much for being here.
Of course, this is really fun.
So my first question for you is when and how you got involved with the Miss America organization, and what do you think you learned that helped you, get your Miss Ohio win?
Sure. So I started my senior year of college pretty late. I wish I had known about the teen program and competed, but I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why, I didn't know about it or I didn't start competing. But my senior year of college, a friend of mine, actually my little in my sorority, she encouraged me to get involved. And there was a competition in my college town called Miss Oxford. And she had been asking me for years to get involved. And I always said no. And then finally, my senior year, I don't know, but I just gave in and I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And everything fell into place. I was pretty active in my church and community service. So that immediately became my platform. I was a music major. So I had a talent. I had a dress from an old production that I was in. And everything just kind of worked out. And I decided to give it a try. Did not think anything would come of it. I was like checking this off the bucket list, like we're good. And then was so excited and honored to hear that night that I was Miss Oxford, and that was my first ticket to Miss Ohio. So again, the first time I competed, I kind of thought, all right, this will never happen again. Once in a blue moon, I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. And then I ended up loving the program, and everybody was so supportive. And I really felt like it was a place where I could excel and grow. And especially just having graduated college, you kind of lose that socially mandated goal. Once you graduate college, all the goals are up to you. You can set everything. And so, after working a little bit, the 9-to-5 job, and realizing that I wanted to be challenged a little bit more, I decided to go back to the Miss Ohio program in 2019. So I actually took a year off in between. I did some fun things like live in New York, take some theater contracts. But then I decided that I wanted to be back in Ohio because it was my home and I wanted to compete for Miss Ohio. So I ended up competing again in 2019. And that time I just was like, you know what? I'm totally going to be myself, and I'm going to use this as a way to set a standard for how I want to live. So how I want to respond to my community, how I want to be organized, how I want to participate for an event. And I think because I looked at the program because it was like a professional development instead of like, let me just win, I was as successful as I was because I finally just let myself go and have fun and looked at it long term. You know what I mean? Not just, this will be fun for a moment. I used it as a program to, here's how I'm going to make myself a better person for the rest of my life. And also, here's a funny story for you. I think another reason that I was successful at Miss Ohio is because I actually booked a cruise line as a singer.
That's a hard job to get.
Before. I know. So I was like torn between two dream jobs. And I remember saying to the agent, I said, I'm competing for Miss Ohio. I probably won't win. I was like, I will let you know on Monday. I'll sign the contract. And I called her on Monday and said, well, I wasn't expecting this. But I think that in a way, having that happen right before really allowed me to just totally relax and be myself, because I wasn't over analytical. I wasn't second guessing everything. I just was fully there and present in the moment. So in a weird way, it worked out. also listen how crazy this is. So that cruise line contract was supposed to go September through May, and it was in Europe. So like that, in some way, it's like God always has a plan for you, right? What if I
Right.
had been, stuck on the cruise ship quarantined? What if I
I've
had
heard
gotten
about that
sick?
stuff.
Like, I'm just really thankful for the way that things worked out, because there's always a bigger plan. But it's kind of crazy to think like, wow, that could have been me, and really thankful that I'm healthy right now.
So you won Miss Ohio and you avoided getting COVID in Europe. So it's a win-win. Wow. So how many times did you compete for Miss Ohio? Just once?
Twice. So
Twice.
2017, right after I graduated college, and then 2019.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's actually really rare to win on your second try. I know girls that try, 3, 4, 5 times. So your second time, that's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Clearly you made the right decision competing, because I know that at first you said you were like, oh, cross that off the bucket list, but clearly it's a very life-changing thing for you. So your sorority sister had a great idea. She really...
Well, I should add too, so when I won my first prelim title, they actually gave out 2, and she actually won as well. So we went, the first time I went to Miss Ohio, we competed together, which was really fun. And she has since moved to Illinois, but she still competes. So it's fun that we're able to kind of go through the journey together still, even though it's been a couple of years.
And I also like what you said about how you were like completely relaxed because you had like 2 dream jobs on the line, but you knew that you could accept one had Miss Ohio not panned out. And you just said, you complete yourself. And I think that's really important, because I actually spoke to Miss Utah earlier today, who was in your class. She said that, authenticity is key. And it's so important. And I think that's so true. I could just tell from talking to you how personable you are and how nice you were to me. You don't even know me, but you were like, hey, girl, like, what's up? And I was like, hi. Fangirling, essentially. But I love that. And I just think that's awesome.
Thank you. Well, and I really believe, too, that be kind to everyone, because you don't know the internal battles that people are going through. So it takes 2 seconds to share a smile. So, do it. There's no reason to not.
I love that. And so you said you served 2 titles under the Miss Ohio organization. And I'm wondering, for those of you who don't know, a year's service is required when we win a title. It's a really big part of the Miss America organization. And surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't know how important community service is to this organization, or how essential it is, really. So you had 2 years of service, and I'm wondering how those years of service impacted you, and how did you impact your community through those years of service?
Sure. So it's interesting, because my community kind of changed along the way, and also my social impact initiative, or previously platform, changed as well. So I felt like I got to serve my community, and also several communities in like different ways, if that makes sense. And it was always changing and always evolving, but that's what I kind of like about community service, is the change is always, or there's always change needed. So there's always a way for you to step in. But not only through the Miss America system did I continue to do work like visiting schools, using social media to promote my social impact initiative, but I'm also involved with some things in Cincinnati, my hometown. So I'm involved in the Junior League of Cincinnati, which is very similar to Miss America, very similar to a sorority. It's a group of women that are community service based and spend most of their time volunteering and kind of dedicating themselves to their communities. And so they work with something called Sweet Cheeks Diaper Bank. And that's about making sure that diapers are available. Yeah. Well, so that's one of the biggest things that people need, especially if they're close to the poverty line, because diapers are so expensive and you go through them so quickly, especially with babies. So it's all about making sure that they have resources. So I do a little bit of that. There's also something they do called the Little Black Dress Initiative. So in order to spread awareness about poverty, you wear the same black dress for an entire week. It could be a conversation starter. Yeah. And I will say too, from doing that campaign, you really do realize like what a blessing it is to just be able to wash your clothes, because I wore like a full black dress and tights and the same shoes. And even like putting on the tights every day, it just makes you so thankful for something as simple as laundry when you just think of that as a necessity, but it's not everybody has access to that. And also it was really fun to keep wearing the black dress and see my coworkers or friends say, like, didn't you wear that already? And I would say, yes, I'm glad you asked, because did you know that Cincinnati has a very high level of poverty, and that's not something that's often talked about, but here's what you can do and here's how you can help. So I felt like through the Miss America organization, I was able to expand upon the service that I was already doing in my community.
Awesome. And I also think like another way you could look at it too is that like people are going to say, oh, she's beautiful, she's Miss Ohio, everything she probably wears is glamorous, and I've seen what you wear on your Instagram, and it is. But the fact that you were able to, you know, humble yourself and be a part of something like that, it just goes to show that like even beauty pageant title holders, state winners will do things like that in order to raise awareness, and that not everything is as glamorous as you might think. I think that's what I want to like really preach about the year of service, is that yes, there's a lot of, you know, beauty components in this, you know, competition, but at the end of the day, it's based in service. So I love that. And I think that's a really, like you said, a really great conversation starter and something that's really interesting.
Absolutely. And I always love to share too my personal social impact initiative with people as well, and almost break the stigma and redefine the stereotype of what it means to be involved with MAO or any type of competition. Because like you said, people don't realize on the surface level, you know, they see the tip of the iceberg. They don't realize everything that's underneath. So
Right.
it's important too, I feel, to even, like you said, yes, I get to wear all these glamorous outfits from our sponsors, and I have a lot of opportunities where I can dress up, but to post pictures on my Instagram, like yesterday, I posted a picture of me, a sweaty mess in my room painting, because at the end of
Yes.
the day, we're all human. Like, you know, I'm not going to hide that. I put on
This
makeup today for this interview for the first time in 4 days. So
Friday is the only day I do makeup, so I feel that. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like, because usually I have to replace like mascara every month, and it's been like 3 months, and I'm like, oh,
I know, like saving money. It's great.
that's one way to look at it. But yeah, I think that's amazing. And I guess I'd like to hear more about your personal social impact initiative and everything about it.
Sure. So, my social impact initiative is called Caroline's Crisis Call, Know the Facts of Calling 911. And this started because I was in a serious car wreck about, wow, it'll be 2 years in November. So about a year and a half ago. And in this car wreck, I actually hit my head on, you can see I have a scar on the steering wheel. And I had to go to the ER and get stitches. And basically from this whole accident, I realized I didn't really know how to respond properly in an emergency. We all know to call 911, but we actually have some technology at our fingertips that is pretty life-saving. And I used it, and it really made an impact on how I was able to proceed in this very life-threatening, scary situation. So I don't know if you know, but you have an iPhone?
I do.
So if you hit the power button 5 times, don't do it now because it'll go.
Okay.
It does a countdown. I know every time I do a demonstration or I'm talking to a group of people, I'll say, if you hit the power button 5 times, and I always hear that like,
Oh, no, don't do it.
I'm like, thank you for the demonstration. But if you hit the power button 5 times, your phone will start doing a countdown, and it does a siren that's like, brr, brr, and it automatically calls 911. Then it gets better. Then it sends a text with your location to emergency contacts. The location updates. So if you're in an ambulance or you've changed locations, whoever is getting that text, so like parents, whoever you put as your emergency contact, they will get that updated information. It's about every 10 minutes. And then your phone locks, and the only thing that becomes available is your medical ID, which is medical information that can be helpful. This is mine, in a life-threatening emergency.
So I have an iPhone 10, and this is my power button. So just press that. I'm not going to do it. I press it 5 times, and then it does all that.
Yes. And so you can set this up under settings. So if you go under settings, it's called emergency SOS. And you want to turn on the call with side button, and then also turn on auto call. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it says countdown sound. That is the thing that's like, brr, brr. I turn mine off because I always think about a situation for example, say you're in the back of an Uber and you think they're going the wrong way, or you feel your life is threatened and you try to call, like you don't want to alert somebody that you're calling. So I have mine off right now just because I would never want that to give me away if I was trying to get help safely and quietly.
Well, that is a really good idea though, because then they can't hear you calling 911.
Yes.
Like,
And then if you can also on the same page say edit emergency contacts and health. And that is where you can make the list of contacts that get the text when you make that phone call.
Oh, I don't even have that set up, and I don't even have a medical ID on here. That's
and
crazy.
So medical ID is also under the health app.
Wow, I'm fascinated by this. You got me like, okay, I'll put this down for now, but I'm definitely
especially as young females, you know, being in college, you have a lot of independence. You're often probably walking home at night from studying late or something like that. This could be such a game changer, and this could save your life. And you should not ever have to worry that, like, you know, getting in contact with someone is going to be an issue for you. So you can always use your phone. So that's kind of the first half of the social impact initiative. So there's more, but I guess the two other parts are, one, the facts of calling 911 is an acronym that I created to help you get through an emergency. So, you know, when there's a fire, we all remember to stop, drop, and roll, right?
Yes.
But we don't have that equivalent for an emergency. So that's why I created the facts to help you. So F, fake calls are illegal. So don't prank call 911. Easier said than done. But sometimes you don't know what is a situation to call. Life-threatening emergencies is when you're supposed to call 911. And then A, assign individuals to help you. So this was something that I experienced in my car wreck. Everybody's in shock. So I got out of the car holding my head. I looked around. I asked for help. And everybody just stared back at me. And I was like, okay, I'll do it myself. So I ended up calling 911 myself. But in those situations, everybody's shocked. So you're supposed to actually make eye contact and point and say, you call 911, you do CPR, you go get help, because everybody's in shock. So they're not going to communicate regularly. So that's A, assign people to help you. C, calm, cool, collected. So try to stay calm, breathe. T, thorough. So when you get on the phone with 911, you've got to be very thorough and give lots of detailed information, because they don't know where you are. Even if you call from a cell phone, they can't ping your location. So you have to give tons of details. And, you know, being injured and scared, I just wasn't expecting to be on the phone saying, here's the car I drive, here's what I look like, here's where I think I'm located. I was like on the interstate. I didn't know where I was. So be thorough. And then lastly, S, stay on the line until they say it's safe to hang up. Or if you call by mistake, you have to stay on the line to tell them it was a mistake, or they're going to call you back and treat it like a real emergency.
I am shocked. Honestly, I'm not just saying that. I mean, I think every platform is important. I really do. But your platform, wow, because I honestly had no idea, and I would consider myself pretty technologically savvy. I mean, as much as like an 18-year-old can be. And I had no idea that existed. Like literally zero idea. And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people that you meet and educate don't know about that either.
Mm-hmm. And we all have phones. It's crazy because we all have iPhones or we all have smartphones, and you can do this on an Android too. The setup's just a little bit different, but why don't we know about this? Like, we're always on our phones. You would think that it would come up. I've been trying to go viral on TikTok, making TikToks about how to set it up. So like it.
I will. And, you know, I'm not even just saying this. I honestly think that you should say something like on the national news, because I guarantee you it is not just me and the people you talk to. It's the second I leave here, I'm going to tell my mom and my friend, and it's coming over, and they're going to be like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that.
Well, and even I've spoken with first responders, so police officers, firemen, EMTs, about the medical ID. Because if they are responding and somebody is unconscious, or they're needing a blood transfusion, or they need to see what kind of medication they're on, because if they need immediate medical attention, is something going to interact? That's so important that they know about the medical ID too, because you could pick up somebody's phone, see that information, and then proceed from there. And that would really make a difference. So it's something that we should all universally use.
I'm mind blown. Like, I'm truly genuinely mind blown. And, you know, I also like what you said about, you know, like using this feature, even when you're not, you know, when you're in the backseat of a car or an Uber and you think something's going wrong. Cause I feel like all girls have either feared that situation or have been close to it or have been actually in it. And it can happen to guys too. But I think as young women, we're more at risk. It's just the truth. And
we should always know how to take care of ourselves. And this is just one step closer.
And the fact that, you know, you can get that help without having to say, oh, please help me, and then give them time to like chuck your phone or something. Like the fact that you have that option it's like you're preventing, you know, something terrible happening. That's crazy. I honestly think that you need to be like on national news saying that, because I had no idea. And now I know that
also,
shit that ever happened, I'll never forget that.
Did you also know you can text 911?
Can you really text 911? I'm not going to try it.
It's in like select. I can check the full state of Florida, but it's in select locations, usually metropolitan locations, so big cities. But I'll check Florida. Florida text to. So that's something I've been working with the governor on, to have statewide text 911. There's only about 7 states right now that have, so it's only in certain counties. I just looked it up. But that's something I've been working with the Ohio governor
everywhere.
To get statewide coverage. Yeah, because if you think about it, think of situations where your phone service isn't working, a text is likely to go through. And second, domestic violence situations. It's not always safe to make a phone call, but you could text and say, it's really unsafe here, I need assistance. You can't always pick up the phone, because then you're alerting the person that is threatening you that you're seeking help, and that could be more life-threatening. So text 911 is really important.
So you go beyond like just accidents. You go like to the point of like, you know, where I feel unsafe, or I'm in an unsafe environment, or I feel like this person could like kidnap me. And I'm from Florida, and I know this could happen anywhere, but I've actually heard about 2 girls getting abducted while on runs just in my county this week alone. And I don't necessarily live in a bad area. I live in Broward County. And of course, Florida, you know, big cities, it's going to have a little bit more of that risk. But, you know, even just using that, because I'm a big runner, I like to do that. And, you know, even just having that comforts me a little bit more, knowing that I have this option should I ever feel unsafe, just like right then and there, rapidly click 5 times. And all that. So that's really informative. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So tell all of your friends, tell everybody, and remember that 911 is only for life-threatening emergencies. So can't just call it if, you know, actually I play a game usually with people at the end of my presentations. I'll play a game and I'll say different scenarios and say, should you call 911? Like, should you do this? Should you do this? And a big one that usually tricks people is if you're in a car wreck and no one is injured, do you call 911?
No.
Yeah. So if you're no, you're right. So if you're positive that no one is injured and there's no there are no injuries and like nobody's life is threatened, if you're positive, then you can call the non-emergency police line.
See, guys, I got Miss Ohio's quiz right. I second guessed myself, but I still got it right on the first try.
Yes. So anytime you feel your life is threatened, like somebody's struggling to breathe, or your life is like threatened, like you said, you're on a run, you feel unsafe, then you call 911. But if it's other just like suspicious activity or like I said, a car wreck that has already happened, you call the non-emergency police line.
And like you said, almost everyone has learned, like at the young age, I remember learning it at pre-K, oddly enough, call 911. That's just something everyone knows. But they don't know the real specifics of it, because in reality, I've never had to call 911 in my whole life. I'm not really educated on it. Should I ever be in that situation, knock on wood, I would have to know what to do, and I'm sure there's a great deal of shock. Exactly. And like you said, people are shocked, including yourself, but having that like knowledge, like, oh, I remember what Miss Ohio told me. Yes. Like, let's use that right now. And I know that may sound like funny, but I'm being serious. That's crazy. I'm actually shocked. I had no idea.
Yeah. So now you can use the fax, you can use emergency SOS, and we'll have to check on your county if it offers text 911, but hopefully that's an option everywhere sooner or later because we're in the digital age and that should be an option.
It should be, and I have a feeling that you're going to be the person to facilitate that change.
I'm working on it. We'll see.
So I'm actually mind blown, but I have the next question.
Yes.
So your undergraduate major was musical theater, and I want to know how you got started out in performing.
Yes. So my undergraduate degree was music and theater.
And theater.
They have musical theater, so I had a double major. And I actually went to college just as a theater major. And I was determined to second major, and I was determined that that second major would not be the arts. Ooh. And then I graduated as a theater and music major. So, but I actually started when I was younger. My older brother and I were always doing shows around our house and performing, and just always had that natural itch, I guess, to be on stage. And my mom would always take us to auditions because we loved it. So I ended up doing, and I started early in dance as well. And my dance studio opened up a lot of opportunity as well because they were kind of connected, and we would have auditions there, and we were connected with different people in the professional world. But I did my first show when I was 4 years old. And my mom said that I came off the stage and said, "Mom, I just love the stage." So it just kind of started there. It was a natural progression, but yeah, I just always enjoyed it, and I always had fun. And then it wasn't until I was older, probably like around 12, that I realized the impact that performance could have and how it could really open up a space to create conversation or to talk about hard topics, or really create that safe space, or even create a bonding experience across people of all different socioeconomic statuses, all different races, all different religions. And I think that that's really what got me hooked onto performance. But I also had like such a weird childhood growing up. I actually was in a Christian pop group from when I was like 8 to 16. And
Love that.
Yeah. So it was called Pure Energy. If you want to Google it, you can. It'll give you a good laugh. But we toured internationally, and I was homeschooled for 5 years, 4 years, actually only 3 years, because we were on the road so much. And
I found it. NRG. It's like
pure NRG. Yeah. Yeah. So very unique. And that's because of Pure Energy. That's when I really realized how powerful performing could be, because we were going into, different churches, different arenas, performing, and people would come up and share stories about how our music really affected their life or got them through a tough time.
Cool. Is this you? I don't know. You can't see it, but you have a scarf?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, wait, this is like actually like a real thing, guys. They have their own like Wikipedia and like
there are 5 CDs and 3 DVDs.
You guys have like a fan base too. Like I see people like commenting like, "Oh, I missed this. Like this is a real thing." Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was really fun and definitely unique. And then I did that until I was 16. So I didn't really start high school until 10th grade. And then all through high school, still loved performing. And then when it came time for college and my parents said, "What do you want to do?" I said, theater. I mean, like, I was like, is there a choice? Like, I'm doing theater. I just always wanted to do theater. So I still love to perform professionally, and I like to do more regional things because I enjoy kind of having 2 careers at once, like doing professional theater at night and then like working another job during the day. Because I like to stay challenged. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got started. And then one reason that I wanted to do the Miss America program as well is because I wanted that outlet to perform. I loved it so much. And this, Miss America kind of offered a platform that allowed me to combine everything I liked: community service, public speaking, performing. So kind of led me here too.
That is so awesome. And I actually couldn't relate more because I started dance young as well. And I remember they would actually physically have to drag me off the stage because, you leave in a single file line, and I would just stay on the stage, and like, actually they literally had to drag me off the stage. So I have reverse stage fright. I'm afraid of being off stage, as people like to joke. They think it's so funny.
That's so true. I like that too. I'm like, that's a good way of putting it.
I love that. I love the pure energy. I think that's actually really cool. You
Yes,
say it's
yeah.
funny, and
Look it up.
you look
Look
so
it up on
little,
YouTube.
but
It's funny.
it's like a real thing. That's really cool.
Yes, so very unique. It was funny when I went to college because I didn't tell people about it. One, a lot of people haven't heard of it, and two, I think it's just a unique. Like it's hard to explain. But there were a few people I met in college that would be like, "Oh, I went to a concert," or like, "I heard of you." So it was always like a fun conversation starter.
That is awesome, and you best believe I'm going to listen to some of your music.
Yeah. One of my favorites. Oh, what is my favorite song? If you go to the third CD, it's called The Real Thing. There's a good song called Sweet Jesus. Gosh, I feel so old. And
You're far from that.
the Christmas CD. What's the one? No, Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
You guys have a Christmas album. Jeez.
There were 5.
That's crazy. So we also talked, not only are you a music and theater major, but you also do classical voice as well. And for your talent, you sang O mio babbino caro, and a big part of the Miss America organization is we have to have a talent. And that's a very challenging song. One of the most beautiful songs. I feel like if you don't know that song, are you an opera singer? It's that iconic. It's beautiful. So I'm wondering how you got started in opera, and how you discovered your talent for that, because I am also a musical theater major that loves opera and sings opera, but it's kind of rare to find someone that does both. So I'm wondering how you discovered that talent and why you chose to get into classical voice.
Yeah, so well, like I said, I went to college planning to be a theater major and then something else outside of the arts. But my first production that I was in college was Rent. And I sang the Seasons of Love solo at the end, that high note, yeah. And my voice teacher was in the audience and she heard me. And this was before I was involved with the music department. And she sought me out and she said, I really want you to come take a lesson. Anyway, after working with her, she was the one who said, I think you should be a music major and I think you should train classically. So I give all the credit to her. She is the reason that I but yeah, I love her. So her name is Dr. Allison Acord. If you are in Cincinnati, Ohio, go take a lesson with her. But yeah, so I worked with her and she's the one who classically trained me. And yeah, I guess that's how I ended up getting started. And then she's the one who recommended I sing O mio babbino. And the reason that I stuck with it is because you only have a minute and 90 seconds, or sorry, a minute and 30 seconds. You have 90 seconds total. And that was the only song. I didn't want to cut any songs. I didn't want to like cut things together. And that was the only song that fit in that minute and 30 seconds, full beginning to end. And I felt it was so important to do that full story,
And I think that that's so awesome that your song fits, because I decided to do Quando Men Vo, and cutting that was hard. And like I've talked to classical pianists too in the organization. They're like, if you butcher classical music and like cut it, like people will just come for you. So you're so lucky, but it's a beautiful song, and that's awesome that you like can do both. Like what a cool talent.
Yes, well, my kind of both. When my musical theater voice is like legit, and it's more of a classical-y, soprano-y. I don't really have the like belty musical theater, so don't give me credit for both, because like my actual like musical theater voice is more of like a legit soprano. But
I'm not gonna get on my virtual soapbox, but I think sopranos in musical theater are coming back and they're underrated.
I hope so, because right now there's nothing.
I know, I feel that, but we're coming back and we're here to stay. So
yes, I hope so.
So I even wrote down, I said this in every interview, that this question is cliche and I apologize, but I feel like it's just so important not to ask. So I want to know how you felt when you were crowned Miss Ohio 2019, what that moment was like, and just the excitement that goes along with it. I can't even imagine. So I just want to hear about it.
So something that's really fun that Ohio does is they allow you to pick your crowning song. So you get to
That's
set
so
up
nice.
that moment. Yeah, it's really unique. So I had chosen What Dreams Are Made Of from the Lizzie McGuire movie because why
I'm in
not?
love with you. Yes, I love Hillary Duff. She's my queen. I
Yeah.
love her.
So the whole week I had been joking with all the other candidates, and I had said, guys, if it's me, like, this is my crowning song and we're having a dance party. Because typically when you get crowned, you like take your walk and you enjoy it. Not me. I was like, dance party. I like immediately turned around and I motioned everybody to come in, and it was so much fun because we just had like this huge dance party on stage, and that's
That
really
is
what I wanted.
iconic.
You know, it's not like, it wasn't just me that got there. I did it because we had such a fun week together. Everybody was so supportive. You know, like, it was a group effort. So I felt like it was only appropriate to kind of like give honor to everybody that was there. But yeah, I remember the only thing I remember, because you really do kind of black out, is Maddie Lynn Chrisman, who was the Miss Ohio before, so she was crowning me, and she was putting she was putting the crown on my head, and she goes, smile, smile, the pictures always look terrible. So I'm like doing this weird face. Yeah, but it was just funny.
I am gonna make Florida let us choose our songs. I love that, and
Yes.
I don't even know what song I would choose, but your song is iconic. Like, that is just the most iconic song, and I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire, so I love that. I love that.
Too. Well, I was going to do, so that was like one of my first choices, and then Miracles Happen from Princess Diary was a close second. And then I was going to do This Is My Time to Shine by Raven Simone from Princess Diaries too.
Wait,
but you love that song?
Yes, I love the Prince. I'm obsessed with the Princess Diaries. Queen Clarice Rinaldi is my role model, girl. Like,
yeah,
she is
I love
everything. Everything.
But so I was going to do that song, but one of my really good friends who also competes for Miss Ohio, she lives in Cincinnati, and we hang out all the time. And we were hanging out one day, and I was like, I think I found a new crowning song. It's so good. And she said, oh, me too. And I was like, okay, well, you go first. And she said, it's my time, or she was like, this is my time to shine from Princess Diaries too. And she was like, what's yours? And I was like, oh, well,
Oh,
no. First. So I was like, okay, you can have it. You said it first. So we stuck with Lizzie McGuire, and that was just fine. It worked out.
I think that's, like, for me, every theater girl's worst nightmare, because I was actually competing in thespians. I competed in thespians 2 out of the 4 years of high school, and we were in line, and we were giving our sheet music to our theater director, and I said, oh, I'm performing The Light in the Piazza from The Light in the Piazza, and the girl behind me, we had some trouble. She let out like a shriek. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not going to imitate it because I think your ears would shatter, but it was like as if like someone like had like she had like broken her foot, and she was like, ah! And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, that's my song. And I was like, and she was right behind me, and I just was like, if someone was trying to steal my crowning moment song, I'd be like all up in there.
Oh, I didn't care. It's just a fun moment for everybody to be involved. But a similar thing in terms of audition songs. When I was in New York, I was auditioning for Jersey Boys, and I had picked out my song and everything, and weird kind of thing happened. Arrived to the audition the same time this other girl. She was so sweet. We had a great conversation. We were hanging out, whatever. She ended up going in right before me, and we had arrived at the same time, and I was like, oh, you go ahead. Like, no worries. Like, see you later. She walked in before me, sang the same song, and I didn't have anything in my book. So I just like walked in after her, and I was like, hey, you guys are going to be hearing the same song. I was like, okay. But it was kind of funny. Yeah. So I've been there too, but I think as long as you play it off, I mean, nobody cares.
I agree with that, and I'm just not over your crowning song. I absolutely love it. You're like iconic. Okay, so now another cliche question. Again, I'm really all about the cliche. Miss America, what a cool thing, first off. I'm sure you get this all the time.
Yes.
Competing for Miss America, there's some sort of statistic, and I feel like I'm going to butcher it, but I think it was like having a daughter compete in Miss America is more rare than having a son play in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's
More likely to have a son compete or play in the Super Bowl than a daughter compete for Miss America. Yeah.
Exactly. And how cool is that you got to be on that stage? I know it was in Connecticut this year, so a little different, but still, I watched it. It was really different, but I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. So, I want to ask, I guess it's like a multi-part question, I'm sorry, but I want to know all about that experience, what your take on it was, but I really want to know too, with all the changes, because I know that you competed twice for Miss Ohio, but back in 2017, I think that was when things were first starting to change, or maybe they hadn't changed yet.
They hadn't changed at all yet.
Okay, because that was the year Kara Mund won, and I think
yes.
At the end of her year it changed. So you were in the organization when it was normal, you competed in swimsuit, I assume, and then all of a sudden everything changes, and then you're on a national stage. And I just want to know what your whole take on that was, and was it like challenging? Was it scary? And I promise I'm almost done. And I just want to know about those 2 weeks in general, because I think it's a really exhilarating, but I've also heard it's a very hard experience.
Yeah, so I actually felt like our Miss America organization or our Miss America experience was very different, but it was really exciting. I was not tired. I wasn't exhausted. We actually got a lot of time where we were able to go back to our rooms and rest and relax. So in that department, I felt like we were actually got like a lot of time to be with each other, and I was really thankful for that. We were there, I think we were only there like 8 days, so not even the full 2 weeks. But we did a lot in those 8 days. And I thought it was fun to be part of the first year that is really redefining 2.0. So we did the 90-second social impact pitch, and we did some different phases of competition. But I think it was fun to kind of be in the group of women that defined what the social pitch is going to look like and how it's going to be portrayed for the rest of time. So, it was different, but it was cool to kind of be on the forefront of that and to be like, hey, I'm defining this. So I thought that was fun that we got that unique opportunity.
Truly, and you're also a part of Miss America history.
Yes.
Approaching its 100th year, and you were like right at the cusp of that. And I think it's a really cool experience. And again, I know that it was a year that was challenged, by a lot of scrutiny by, people that are like a Miss America lifers. But I truly liked it. Did I think it was different? Very much so, but I really liked it. And also what I've heard from, I'm interviewing Miss Utah, and I'm interviewing a lot of girls from your class actually, but what she said, the camaraderie and the sisterhood that was in that class was like so tight-knit, so helpful to get through that process. And I'm sure, I can tell that you're very gracious, and I know that sisterhood is important to you. You were part of a sorority, and, you're also a Miss America title holder, and that's a really big thing. So I'm wondering, did your class help you? Was the experience made better because of the friends that you made?
Yes, absolutely. So the friendships that we made were amazing. And I still think, even though it's been 6 months past Miss America, those friendships are still strong. And we are talking in our group me every day, calling each other constantly. I just got off the phone with Miss Nebraska earlier today. So I'm really thankful for those friendships. And even leading up to Miss America, we got to do a lot of really fun things together, like go to Orlando for orientation.
I heard.
Go back to Orlando because we were there for teen, and then like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and all this fun stuff together. So we had the opportunity to hang out with each other more than once, which is pretty unique. And I think that really allowed us to be super close.
That's awesome. So my next question for you is about your current education situation. You are currently a graduate student at Miami University pursuing your master's. You graduated?
Yes. Yeah. I just graduated. Yeah. In May. So I'm done.
You're out. Peace out. Yeah. So you just graduated from not University of Miami University.
Yes.
With your master's in education. Congratulations. How awesome.
Thank you.
You're free, and now you've got your master's, which is must be pretty cool to say. So I want to know what made you decide to choose that career path.
Yes. So I worked in the Office of Admission for about 2.5 years. And I started taking classes as an education major. I don't know what you say when you're a master's, but I started taking classes, master's classes while I was there because you get tuition remission. And I thought this is such a great opportunity to keep challenging myself with different courses. And I'm able to take the knowledge that I'm gaining and directly apply it to my job. So that's why I started doing it. And then I actually started getting more and more engaged and I really enjoyed it. So I decided that even though I was going to compete for Miss Ohio and I wasn't going to be in admission long-term, it was just kind of a fun job right out of college. I still wanted to pursue education just on a different level. So it is a master's in transformative education. And really that means, yeah, it's so fancy. But really that means taking educational principles and practices and applying it to other industries. So it's a great way of taking the knowledge that I already have and all the skill sets that I gained from working in the Office of Admission and with different students and applying it to different career paths. So I really hope to do something that combines the two. And right now I'm currently actively seeking and applying to different jobs. So hopefully we'll have some good news soon, but unfortunately this is not the best job market right now.
No, of course, but I think that's really awesome, and congratulations on graduating. And
thank you.
That's really fancy. Transformative education, everybody.
Yeah.
So my final question, my show's title is called The Silver Lining because I like to find the positivity in every situation, and I can see, so do you. So I want to know, what do you think the silver lining is, from your participation with the Miss America organization? What was the best part of competing in pageants to you?
Oh, that's a good one. There's so many ways you can take it.
I know. Everyone says that. They're like, you just gave me like a mind-blowing question. I'm like, I'm sorry.
So many different directions. I think realizing what you're capable of, because competing for Miss Ohio was really the first time in my life that I felt like I did everything 100% by myself, because I was 24, I was living alone, I was independent, adulting, like really doing everything. And so I didn't have anybody to fall back on. Of course, I could call my parents for advice, or can you read over my paperwork, or can you proofread? But, finding a dress, making appointments for myself to practice, setting time to finish my paperwork. I had to do all of that by myself and all of that prep. And it's not that I thought that I couldn't do it, but really being diligent, setting the deadlines for yourself, because it's not like school where you have a teacher and they're saying this is due this date, or you have to do this assignment. You are setting these goals and these standards for yourself. And so setting that very high expectation for myself and not only being able to meet it, but to surpass it, I think was the most positive part of it, because it gave me a standard for how I want to live my life and how I want to approach anything that I do, not just Miss Ohio, but a job interview, taking on a new hobby or a new skill set. It really just set a standard. And also it confirmed for me that I can do it. I don't have to hold back because I'm afraid of failing or I'm afraid of XYZ, but I can actually do it.
I love that. I think that's such an interesting answer. I've gotten a lot of great answers to that question, but I've never gotten what you're capable of. Certainly, I have learned from my first year as a Miss that I can interview state title holders, which I was actually very, very nervous for no reason, because you're absolutely so nice.
Nervous.
But I was so nervous because, it's challenging for me to put myself outside of the box. I've never really done this sort of interview thing before, but I really wanted to, because, when I was a teen title holder and looking up to all the Miss America girls, and I looked up to you guys when you were competing this year before I won my Miss title, looking up to them, I wish I had had a show like this where I could have seen title holders off stage giving real answers and sharing their stories. So I think that's so cool. I think the message of what you're capable of is so important. I have learned to, do public speaking, perform my talent. I've always been performing on stage, but I feel like when you have a panel of judges right under you, it's a little different.
Right.
And it's just all sorts of things. So, I love that answer. I think it's so inspiring. And again, let me just reiterate, because I know I completely freaked out over it, but your platform, I think, is amazing. I will share this anywhere I can and tell everyone I can. I think it's so important, and I love your little acronym, and I'm hoping that you can repeat it for me just one more time because I'd like to write it down.
Yes.
Okay.
So F, fake calls are illegal.
Mm-hmm.
A, assign individuals to help you. C, calm, cool, collected.
Mm-hmm.
T, thorough. So be detail oriented when describing the emergency. And then S, stay on the line.
That's actually a really good one.
Yes. So my dream, who knows if this will happen, but if anybody's watching, you've got connections, let me know. My dream is that is a curriculum that is taught with the stop, drop, and roll fire.
It should be.
Curriculum. So,
I truly will never forget this. Like, I know that sounds cheesy, but I mean it. Like, I will never forget this tip, this conversation. I think it really just takes one time to ingrain this in someone's head, and they can, find information upon further research. But so, like, now I know, click the power button 5 times, and I'm like, I've got one step down. And I think that's so important. And I mean, I've heard about amazing platforms, but this I think is so informative, especially with the technology we have at our fingertips. Why not use it for what we can?
And you never think an emergency is going to happen to you. So you're like, oh, it's fine. I don't need that information. But when it does happen to you, you don't have time to think, you don't have time to go set that up. So you need to stay up to date on this information and constantly remind yourself so that when it does happen, you're ready to go.
I think that's actually one of the most profound things you said, is that you think that when you see on the news or another girl's abducted or, a terrible accident, oh, well, that won't happen to me. It could happen to anybody. I knock on wood, I'm very superstitious that it won't, but you just never know. And I think that there's great comfort for me knowing that if that ever did happen, should God ever, should that be my plan? I don't know how to say it. At least I know what to do. So I can't fear that. I just know, here are the solutions, here are the facts, if you will. And, here's what I got to do in that situation. So I think your platform's extremely informative. And I just appreciate everything you've said today. And I will promise you will promote that in any way I can. I know you have a bigger audience than me, but if I can promote it throughout South Florida, and maybe, God willing, hopefully one day Florida, I will tell everybody I can, because I think that's really essential.
Absolutely.
I will certainly tell my young friends, because I live in Miami. Well, not right now, but I do for school. And it's a dangerous city. Walking home at night, you never know. And I think it should be, the texting 911 should be implemented in every state, county, region.
It's got to be in Miami, Florida. It's in most big cities. Like,
she's very persistent. She won't give up on her research.
Let's see. I think you can. Is it? And South? Yeah. You said Broward?
Yes.
Yes.
My county is called Miami-Dade, like, for school.
Oh, well, this is from 2019. It says they're working on a system for Miami-Dade.
Good.
So we'll see. But it should be everywhere. It shouldn't have to depend on counties or states. It should be everywhere. And right now there's only a small amount of states that have it statewide.
Well, I think that you are going to change the world in any way I can help with my smaller reach. I will. And I think you're amazing and so inspiring. And let me just say, I know, like, this just means so much to me. I really do mean that sincerely. I was completely freaking out when you answered, and you may not see it this way, but I look up to you guys as celebrities. Like, truly I do. And we're not really that far apart in age, but you've had a state title under your belt, and a Miss America, and a year of service. And it's just, like, I'm still fangirling as we speak, but I really appreciate it. I can't wait to keep up with your journey, and I can't wait to see where you go. And I'm definitely going to keep a close watch, because you have another year as Miss Ohio. So I have another year to keep up with you. Everyone, make sure to follow Caroline. I will put her social media down below, and I will definitely put it on my Instagram. Please continue to, check her out, look at her platform, and educate yourself on all of that. I'm sure you post stuff about it quite often, so people can learn more information. Check out Pure NRG, because I know I will. Make sure you listen to The Real Thing on the 3rd album, Sweet Jesus, and the Christmas album, because, Christmas is I actually checked today because I'm obsessed with Christmas. It's 210 days away as
There
of
we go.
today. But soon, get out your energy. But Caroline, thank you so much. And guys, please make sure to check out my show, and I'll see you guys next time.
Of course,
Bye.
it was awesome.